Okay, first of all, page 876, I want to finish up on Parsha Pinchas, a few points here. The first thing is that on 876, there's a strange terminology. We skipped over this last time. It says, V'shem ish Yisrael hamuka, where it's the sixth line. It says, V'shem ish Yisrael hamuka, the name of the Jewish man who was smitten, Asher huka es ha-Midyanis, who was smitten with the Midianite woman, Zimri ben Salu. That seems to be a double terminology here. The name of the Jewish man who was smitten, who got smitten with the Midyanis, right? If you get smitten, you got smitten. You know, why are you smitten twice? You hear the problem. You hear the problem. It says, Jamuka Asher Huka. The name of the Jewish man who was, how does the art scroll translate it, by the way? Slain. The man who was slain, okay, if you're slain means dead. You don't get half slain. You get the man of the name of the Jewish man who was slain with the Midyanit. So you have a double terminology of Huka Asher Huka, right? So Hamuka Asher Huka. So the Orach Chaim HaKadosh says that this means that not only he was killed physically, one refers to his physical death, the other is the death of his spiritual death, because he died as a terrible Chil Hashem. And if you stop and think about it, we're in the 40th year. This is the 40th year of the Jewish people in the desert. All he had to do is make it a few more months. And if it's the 40th year, that means he was over 60 years old when the original decree took place, because the original decree was that the people wouldn't live to 60. So that means that he's over 60 years old, because otherwise he would have died already. So that man's close to 100 years old, and he's in the 40th year. That means you're never safe. You never be sure you're home free. You never be sure you're home free. So when there was a guy once came, Rabbi Lapian, who was one of the biggest mashgichim in Eretz Yisrael, a big tzaddik from the previous generation, and a young man had to go to some sort of affair where it was mixed seating or something something that wasn't at the cutting edge of tznius. And so Rabbi Lapian, he was a disciple of Rabbi Lapian. He said to him, "Well, aren't you nervous? You're going to be there, and there are all sorts of things that you're going to see." He goes, "No, it doesn't bother me." So Rabbi Lapian looked at him. He said, "Listen, young man, I'm in my upper 80s. I only have one eye. I can't see out of the other eye, and it still bothers me. Don't tell me it doesn't bother you. You're beyond it." Right? When people say they're beyond it, that's when you know you're in trouble. And then the guy better, you're never beyond it. So here you have a man, number one, the Orach Chaim says that he was slain both physically and spiritually, that he gets it both. But one of the other Mefarshim says, imagine there's a guy's a thief. A guy breaks into a house. And as he breaks into this house, he's looking over the stuff. He opens up a door. He sees some really expensive suits in a closet. So he says, "Hey, those look like pretty good suits. Those are expensive Italian suits." So he decides he's going to try one on, see what he wants to take. So he takes off his clothes. And just as he takes off his clothes, the cops break in. So they've nailed him, right? So not only that he's going to get punished because he's a thief, but he's also in an incredible embarrassment. They haul him off take him down to prison in his gatkis, they're walking on the street with this guy, so he's in an embarrassing state as well. So this Zimri over here, Huka Asher Hamuka Asher Huka, not only he gets killed, but he gets killed in the most embarrassing way possible. He gets killed when he's connected to this Midianite woman and paraded around the entire Jewish camp. Pinchas shows everybody that why he killed them. So he gets a double whammy over here. That's the first idea, number one. Number two, if you take a look at, this is what I wanted to start last time, page 878. So now it goes into the names. It starts, the Jewish people. It starts going through their ancestry. And they count them again because Rashi says, it's like a shepherd who has to return his sheep. Moshe Rabbeinu had taken the flock, and he's watched them for 40 years. You count them before you give them back. Count the sheep before you give them back. So Moshe Rabbeinu's got to count the flock, and this is especially true after 24,000 died in that plague. Now, there's a very interesting concept here because we said Pinchas lives forever, right? Pinchas doesn't die. So there's an intriguing Gemara. There's an intriguing Gemara which I have to show you. Let me just grab the Gemara. I want you to read. I want you to hear this about what this sounds like. This is a very intriguing Gemara. The Gemara and the Tosos on this Gemara, you're going to be very surprised. This is a Gemara in Chagiga. Where is it? And Gimel on the base. Yes. Oh yes, sure. I knew. I think. Okay. So it says like this. The Gemara says there are certain people who die prematurely. They die when it's not their time. The Gemara says, like we find by the case of Rav Bibi bar Abaye. Abaye had a son named Bibi. Rav Bibi Bevai, or Bibi bar Abaye. Take Chumashim, guys. There are Chumashim over here. Please help yourself, Josh. They're. Okay. And the angel of death used to hang around with him. He used to talk to the angel of death. Okay? And he said to him, one time, the angel of death, in his presence, in the presence of Rabbi Abai, the angel of death said to his agent, I want you to bring me the life, so I have to terminate the life of a young lady named Miriam Megadla Seyar Nishaya. Miriam, the hair braider, the woman's hair braider. Now her name is Miriam Megadla. Does that sound like anything you might have ever heard of? Miriam Megadla doesn't ring any bells at all? All right, we'll see. So the agent made a mistake and he got a Miriam Megadla Dardake. She got Miriam the babysitter, the one who raises the children. Instead of Miriam the hair braider, he got Miriam the babysitter. So the angel of death said, hey, you got the wrong one. I said get Miriam the hair braider. So he said, okay, then I guess I'll have to put her back. I'll have to put her back in. I got the wrong one. My bad. He said, no. Once you bring her, leave her in the pile over here. Leave her in the pile, or we'll just keep her in storage. So the Gemara goes on to ask. The Gemara says, well, what happens to these people who die prematurely? What have people who die prematurely? Let's say people sin and they die. They had a certain life allotment and they die prematurely. What happens to those extra years? It says that those years are given to somebody who is mavir al midosov. Ma'aver al midosov means a person who's willing to overlook the injustices that people do to him or her. They're given those extra years. Now, this idea of ma'aver al midos, we normally understand it, and Rashi actually explains it in the Gemara, as somebody who, when people wrong him, he'll bear a grudge. He gets past it, as you people say. He gets past it. He just lets it go. But it also includes somebody who is willing to overcome his nature. That means a person has a nature to be tough, and instead he forces himself to be soft and sweet when he should be. A person who has a nature, by nature, is very honest, and sometimes you have to bend the truth in order to make other people feel good, which is permissible according to halacha. You have to give a compliment. If your friend asks you, how do you like the new car that I bought? You don't think much of it, but he bought it already, and he's not going to give it back, and he likes the car, so you're supposed to say, yeah, great car. If he'd be asking you in advance, and your decision is going to affect his decision on buying the car, he said, listen, I think you could do better than that. Right? But if he's already bought the car, by the way, I was in a Tesla for the first time like last week. The guy, I had to go to Tveria. Guy picks me up in a Tesla. And I get in, I didn't realize what I was getting into. First of all, he pulls up, and it's just like a nice shaped car. I said, ooh, that looks like a good car. And I get in, and all he's got is he's got a screen, and he starts driving, and it's real quiet. The car's real quiet. And I said, oh, is this one of those electric cars? Wow, was that a good car? Wow, yeah, I could get used to that. Yeah. 300,000 shekels, right? 300,000 shekels, right? I think he got it for 250. But whatever the case is, so somebody who overcomes his nature then is given the years of somebody who had died prematurely. Well, Pinchas, of all people, where he overcame his nature. Pinchas is the grandson of Aaron HaKohen, which the Torah emphasizes. He's a man of peace. And what does he do? He takes a spear. So Pinchas is somebody who is overcoming his nature. He's ma'aver on his midos. He's overcoming his nature. Well, 24,000 people died prematurely. So where were those 24,000 people died in the plague? Where were those years go? Where'd they go? They went to Pinchas. That's why Pinchas never dies. And he gets all those extra years. And so Pinchas never dies. Now, Tosos says over here that this woman, the Miriam Megadla Nishaya, this woman who was the hair braider, Tosos says she was the mother of Ploni. Tosos doesn't name Ploni because there were Christian censors who took issue with this. Who do you think Ploni is? Say it, Daniel. You don't want to say it? That's the one.
I said cheese and potatoes.
Yeah, cheese and potatoes. Yeah, Yashka. We call him Yashka. Tosos says she is the mother, and her name is Miriam Megadla. That doesn't sound like anything. Anything. What do you call it? Miriam Megadla. It sounds like Mary Magdalene. Oh. And certain things are coincidental, certain things are not coincidental. That's her name, Miriam Megadla. Megadla means over here the braider. Miriam Megadla doesn't sound like Mary Magdalene? And I asked Rav Weinbach about this. He says, absolutely. Wow. Chazal have to be very, very coy about how they do this. Is it coincidental that the angel of death is going to get somebody? Right? And that's who he's telling BBI who he wants to nail. Hey, you got the wrong one. A lot of women named Miriam around. So you see, it's all there. You just got to know where to look. And Tosa says she's the mother of Ploni. I mean, a lot of Plonis, guys. A lot of mothers have children. That could be anybody. So Tosa tells us she's the mother of the most famous hockey player in history. Yeah, he got nailed into the boards. The Yeshomrim and others say he was penalized for cross-checking. But whatever the case is, it's all there, gentlemen. It's all there. Okay. Now, if you take a look at on what do you call it on Pasuk Lamed Tes, so the Torah starts going through the names. Now, first of all, look at Pasuk Yud. The Torah going through the names of the various families, and then if you take a look at it goes through the tribe of Ruvain, and then on Pasuk Tes, it's about 8 lines from the bottom. It says, "Ubenei Eliav Nemuel v'Dasan v'Aviram." The sons of Eliav were Nemuel, Dasan, and Aviram. And Nemuel we don't know anything about, but the Torah says, "Hu Dasan v'Aviram." They are the prominent ones who went up against Moshe and Aaron. Ba'adas Korach, ba'atzosam al Hashem. That is the very Dasan and Aviram who started up. Vatiftach ha'aretz es pia vativla osam ve'es Korach moseda. The earth opened up its mouth and swallowed them. Page 878. So the earth opened up and swallowed them and Korach. Ba'achol ha'esh es chamishu masai ma'ish ve'yulades. When the fire consumed the other 250 men who were in the rebellion. Then the Torah says, Ubnei Korach lo mesu. The sons of Korach didn't die. So Rashi says over here, what happened to the sons of Korach? They did tshuva at the last minute. In the first left column of Rashi, second line, it says, Heim hayu ba'etza tchila. They were in the plot at the beginning. Uvishas ha'machlokes, second line of Rashi, left column. Uvishas ha'machlokes, hirheru tshuva b'libam. They did tshuva in their hearts. Lefichach nisbatzer le'makom gavoa begehenim. The yashvu shab. There was a high platform in Gehenna, and that's where they stayed. Wow. So, you got several different problems here. Because even when it says that Korach and his men were swallowed, they're swallowed up into Gehenna. Gehenna is not a physical location. Gehenna is a spiritual place. So there are commentaries that say that earth opening up is being referred to as Gehenna. And in that Gehenna there was a platform, and they didn't therefore get swallowed down all the way into the ground. Then they came out. They came out of the earth, the sons of Korach. Why? Because they did tshuva at the last minute. The person could do tshuva for an entire lifetime. Whatever any of us have done, they did worse. That rebellion against Moshe Rabbeinu was worse. And at the last minute, they thought tshuva to themselves. So there was a platform, when the earth opened up, there's a platform, they fell in it. There are commentaries that say that they're still there, but they're in a high platform in Gehenna. But there was a platform, and they got there, and there's one opinion that they landed on this platform, and then eventually, when everything went calmed down, they came coming out of the earth, and they lived on. That's what it says, Uvnei Korach lo Mesa. So I saw one of the commentaries say there's a completely different, that's obviously not the plain meaning. But what it means is the Bnei Korach, meaning that any descendants of Korach, lo Mesa, they never finished. That means in every generation there are still Korachs. Ubnei Korach lo Mesa. There's Korach and they're the descendants of Korach. Anybody who argues and fights and starts rebellions and is disgruntled and goes up against, you're Bnei Korach, you're descendants of Korach. And that, gentlemen, you will see that there are always Bnei Korach in your communities. There's always going to be those Bnei Korach. All right, we mentioned this before. There are always Korachs lurking. There are always those people who can't leave well enough alone, and there's always, they got to see the negative. They're usually unhappy people, and they got to see and they don't like the rabbi, and they don't like the president of the shul, they don't like the people down the block, and they can't stand this one, can't stand that one, can't stand the other one. There are always Korachs running around. Those are the Bnei Korach. It's unbelievable. I've never seen a community without it. I've never seen a shul without it. I've never seen a community without it. There are always Korachs around. Everybody else says yes, they say no. Everybody says no, they say yes. There's that one neighbor in a big building, no matter what everybody else wants to do, he's got to be the difficult one. These are the type of people that all you want to do is take them out back and give them a whooping, right? That's you can't reason with them, you can't talk to them, you can't do anything with them. All you want to do is just blow them with a inverted air from a vacuum cleaner. Just blow them. Just what do you go? Give them a water hose or something. They're just difficult people, and they're always lurking. They're all over the place. There are people like that all over the place. So it says Uvnei Korach lo Mesa. Okay. Now I want to show you something incredible. Take a look at page 882. This is really remarkable. And this is going to require a little bit of focus and a little bit of just paying attention here. If you take a look in Pasuk Lamed Tes on page 882. Okay. So start 5 lines from the top. Bnei Binyamin, the tribe of Binyamin, leMishpachosam, leBela Mishpachas Abali, leAshbel Mishpachas Ashbeli, the various families, Achir Mishpachas Achirami. And then in Pasuk Lamed Tes it says LeShufa Mishpachas HaShufami, LeChufa Mishpachas HaChufami. Now, in that Pasuk Lamed Tes, what would you say stands out? LeShufa Mishpachas HaShufami, LeChufa Mishpachas HaChufami. The pay is in every word. Every word in Pasuk Lamed Tes has a pay. Now you know that in Hebrew, every letter has a meaning. Aleph means the general, Beis is a house, Bayit, Gimel is to do something good, Dalit is a door. Every letter actually means a word. What's a pay? A peh, a mouth, right? A peh, it's a mouth. A peh refers to a mouth. Okay. Let's take a look at the tribe of Binyamin for a second. The first person that we find in the tribe of Binyamin who of significance is Rachel Imenu. Rachel is Binyamin's mother. Now you know that when Yaakov Avinu was supposed to marry Rachel, Lavan pulled a switch and gave him Leah. And Rachel knew about it. What did Rachel do?
She gave her the secret.
She gave her the secret. Instead of spilling the beans and telling Yaakov that, by the way, there's a switch, she kept quiet. Okay? The next person we find from the tribe of Binyamin being quiet is Binyamin himself. Because Binyamin knew about the sale of his brother Yosef. He knew the other brothers had sold his brother. And the only reason he didn't tell anybody, because the brothers issued a ban. They made a cherem. No one is allowed to tell. He knew, and he didn't tell. You know who else knew? Yitzchak Avinu knew. Yitzchak knew through Ruach HaKodesh that Yosef had been sold. But Yitzchak figured if Hashem isn't telling Yaakov, I'm not going to tell Yaakov either. But Binyamin knew, and Binyamin didn't say anything. Now, Binyamin has a descendant. Binyamin's descendant is King Shaul. When the Tanakh says that King Shaul went looking his father, where do we meet Shaul? There's a man who loses some donkeys. And his son Shaul goes looking for the donkeys for 3 days. And he ends up by the prophet Shmuel HaNavi. And when he gets to the prophet Shmuel HaNavi, Shmuel says, forget about the donkeys. The donkeys have been found already. I got different news for you. You're king. And he anoints him the first king of the Jewish people. And then when Shaul comes home, his uncle sees him. He says, so what's new? What happened on your trip? How was your trip? Anything significant happen? Val dvar balucha lo higi. He doesn't say a word about having been anointed king. Most people, if they were anointed king, if you went on a trip to Washington, D.C., and then you were standing outside the White House gates, and the Secret Service guys would come out, and they, also they say, hey, Jordan, we've been waiting for you. You're the new president. Just wait a month or two, you're the new president. Yes, we have kosher food and you'll have a minyan every day. Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, we'll even get you Mishpacha magazine, right? And you have what do you call it? You got all the minyan, whatever a Jew, there are mezuzahs, we'll put up mezuzah, whatever you need. And we'll even put a Chinese restaurant in the White House because we know Jews need that too. So you're, and then your parents say, how was your trip to Washington? Yeah, really good. Yeah, I saw that Lincoln Monument or something. Anything else happen? No. Nothing together. Most people would talk about. Shaul doesn't say a word about being anointed king. Then Shaul has two children. One of them is Yonasan, who's Dovid's best friend. And when Dovid's on the run and Shaul's trying to kill Dovid, Yonasan, who knows exactly where Dovid is, helps us. He doesn't say anything. And Shaul has a daughter named Michal, who's married to Dovid. Father-in-law and son-in-law had some issues there, right? And Michal is married to Dovid and doesn't say where Dovid is. And then there are two more Jews in history that come from the tribe of Binyamin. Very famous Jews who don't talk. Anybody know who they are? Mordechai and Esther. Both of whom know she's Jewish and neither one says anything. So there are 7 Jews in history, 7 Jews from the tribe of Binyamin who don't blab. We're in the tribe of Binyamin. There are 7 pays. There are 7 mouths over here. The Torah is like, what's the definition of a mouth? The definition of a mouth is that somebody knows how to control it and not talk when he shouldn't. Somebody whose mouth is constantly going. When I was growing up, there was a lady who used to come to the house who was stuck on automatic. I don't know if you ever saw one of these talking teeth, one of these teeth that bounce around, the talking teeth. My younger brother nicknamed her Jaws, right? Because she was just stuck on automatic. That's not a mouth. That's not a mouth. Somebody whose mouth is constantly moving just spews out the first thing that comes to mind. That's an overflowing sewer. That's not a mouth. A pei, in the tribe of Binyamin, there's 7 mouths. That's somebody who doesn't say what shouldn't be said. That's the definition of a mouth. Now, turn back for a second to Parsha Tetzaveh, Perek Chav Ches Pasuk Chav. 28:20 in Tetzaveh. 28:20 in Tetzaveh. If you find it, here we go. 28:20, page 468. I won. Page 468. Okay, now this is describing 468. And it's on Pasuk 20. It's right smack in the middle of the page, a little lower than the middle. And this is describing the chest plate worn by the Kohen Gadol. So it says, Vehatur, everybody see that? Vehatur haravi, the 4th row, Tarshish vishoha v'yashve. Now every stone corresponds to one of the tribes. This is the 4th row. So if you look at the tribes, Reuven, Sheba, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Zebulun, Gad, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Menashe, Ephraim, Binyamin. The last stone here, Yoshve, is the stone that was on the flag that corresponds to the tribe of Binyamin. And if you look at that word, V'yoshve, do you see where that is? On Pasuk Chav, V'atur haravi, Tarshish, V'shoham, V'yoshve, the Yoshve stone. If you break, not the Yashka stone, the Yoshve stone, and if you break Yoshve into 2 words, so then it breaks into Yesh Peh, there is a mouth. So that again is the tribe of Binyamin. The tribe of Binyamin has a mouth. Yesh Peh, the tribe with the mouth. Why? Because the definition of a mouth is the ability not to speak. a person whose mouth is running, that whatever else it is, it's not a mouth, right? Whatever else it is, it's not a mouth. That's why the Gemara says that there is a mitzvah. The Gemara says the same way it's a mitzvah to say that which will be listened to, it is a mitzvah to not say that which will not be listened to. That's a mitzvah that sometimes people have to realize, that you want to say, I've told this to parents many times, parents are constantly, the 7 to 16-year-old is smoking cigarettes. And parents, don't smoke, we don't want you to smoke, I shouldn't smoke, so. Why don't I ask a question? Do you think there's a 16-year-old in the world who doesn't know that his parents don't want him to smoke? So I always tell the parents, what are you harping on it for? If he's going to smoke, he's going to smoke anyway. If they won't smoke in front of you, he'll smoke when he's out of the house. What is harping on it going to do? What are you going to gain? You don't want to give him money for cigarettes or something else. But just cheppering him for no reason isn't going to get you anything. What are you going to gain by that? So you have to know, don't say anything. I knew a kid who was already flirting with he was on his way off the derech, as they say. Kid was on his way out. He came from home, and the kid was on his way out. His parents had a sign on the door, one of those stickers that say, "This is no smoking zone, cough, cough, cough," so their kids all smoke. I know 2 families like that. They have the sticker and all their kids smoke. This kid was smoking. His older brother smoked, this kid started smoking. His mother made a trip to England, and on the way back, she picked him up at the duty free. She picked him up a couple of cartons of Marlboros for her son as a gift when she came back. As soon as when I found out about it, I knew the kid was going to make it. I knew the kid was going to come back all the way. Today he learns in Kolo. I was so impressed with the mother. I was so impressed because this went completely against her nature. Completely against it. And she actually bought him the cigarettes. And she thought, listen, they can't beat him, join him. Right? And then the kid sees it. Brother's on your side. It was a brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Most parents in the world would jump off a roof before they do that. Right? It was absolutely brilliant. I was surprised that she had it in her to do it. I was surprised. And I'm not advocating smoking. But sometimes you don't really have a choice, do you? 16 or 17-year-old, what are you going to do? What are you going to do, lock them up? Which isn't a bad idea for teenagers, but you can't. It's not practical. It doesn't work. Yes? So, yeah, go ahead.
It's one thing to nag someone about doing something wrong, but to support it.
To support it shows that she's not supporting it, she's supporting him. And that was what the kid felt was lacking all along. And now when the parents you're supporting the child, it just happens to be that the means is a very unpleasant way of doing it with the Marlboros. But she won because of it. She actually won. And you have to have a certain amount. I was very, very impressed. I remember at the time thinking to myself, whoa, I wouldn't have given her credit for it. I just would not have thunk it. Right? Kid came all the way back. It was unbelievable. It's an unbelievable move. Others I might have done it. I was shocked. I was shocked that she had the brains to do it. That she had anything to do it. It just ran completely against her nature. Okay, so that's the definition of a mouth. So there's a story about this guy. There's a guy who's like the president of a bank. And one day, the big Hasidic Rebbe sees coming towards his house up the walkway. This guy's a prominent president of a bank. Hasidic Rebbe comes in with his entourage, knocks on the door. Goes, ooh, the Rebbe's here. Please, Rebbe, come in. Let's Rebbe sit down. The Rebbe sits down. The guy is waiting for the Rebbe to, After a few minutes, the Rebbe gets up. He says, have a good evening. The Rebbe turns around and he leaves. So the guy's baffled. The Rebbe didn't say anything the whole time. So the guy follows the Rebbe all the way back to the Rebbe's house. And he knocks on the door. And he said, come in. He says, yes. He says, Rebbe, can I ask you something? Yes. He says, why did you come to my house? He says, I came to do a mitzvah. So what mitzvah? I came to do a mitzvah of not saying that which will not be listened to. So the guy stepped in hook, line, and sinker. He goes, okay, what was it that you were going to say that I wasn't going to listen to? So the Rebbe said, there's an elderly widow who owes money to the bank, and the bank's threatening to foreclose on her home. And I wanted to ask you if you could, figure out a way that the bank doesn't take away her home. He says, Rebbe, I don't own the bank. I'm only the president of the bank. He says, that's why I didn't ask you. That's why I did that. That's why I didn't say anything. That's why I did the mitzvah of not saying it. Right? So then it got done. But you should know that in life, that's a mitzvah. No, you know what we're saying it for. Well, you don't think I know? You don't think parents know? You don't think, again, parents shepherd the kid, go to davening, go to do this, go to, wait, you don't think the kids know what the parents want them to do or not to do? There's a limit. There's a limit to what you can say, whether you should say it or not. What's the purpose? Just to harp on it. So all it does is what do you call it? Often it alienates the kids. Give them some space. Don't strangle them. Don't choke them off. Okay. All right, gentlemen, we're going to call it a day. Okay. Thank you very much, Mayor.